looking you eyeball to eyeball tonight, and I'm going to tell you something. When you're getting ready to do the hardest thing in your life that you ever had to do, and you're wondering, how in the world am I going to do this? The first thing you're going to have to do, folks, you're going to have to lay down your life. You're going to have to lay down some of the things that some of you people have been holding really close to your vest. There's some of you here tonight, I don't say this to be unkind, but I just say it as a point of reference because I know it. It's very easy as believers to hold really tight on some things. And you can take this wherever you want to take it tonight. And you can make it applicable at any level you want to make it. It's real easy to hold it all tight because you want it. You've worked for it. They owe you, don't they? You've busted your back end, haven't you? And you've got it all. Or you wish you had it all. Or the things that you have. You want to hold it tight. But there will come a day God's going to ask you to do something that you don't think you can do. And the reason why you don't think you can do it is because it doesn't fit in with your agenda. Because it doesn't fit in with your schedule. Because it doesn't fit in with your lifestyle. When I went to New York City 20 years ago, how could I have possibly known what would have happened? How could I have known that this thing would have become the largest Sunday school in the United States? How would I know? How would I know that the people who said they'd stick with me for a lifetime walked away because of what I did? How would I have known that? And you stand there, and those things that you've held so tight, lay it down. And it's only until you lay it down, then what did God say? He said, now pick it up. And it turned into a snake. You ever wonder why that was? Me too. Until I started understanding this whole thing. It turned into a snake. See, that's what the past will be. He said it in the introduction. Your past will haunt you if you let it. And you think your past will come back to bite you. Moses was a murderer. How could he be used of God? How in the world could God use a man like that to do the most, in my opinion, one of the most difficult things that was ever asked of a man to do in biblical history? And you think the past is going to come back to bite you. And so you're afraid of it, aren't you? You're afraid to get into it. You're afraid to step up. You're afraid to reach down and take it again and do it. But when you do, all of a sudden the whole dynamic changes, doesn't it? And the waters parted. And one of the greatest miracles we've ever read about became a reality. How did it happen? Somebody had to lay down their life. Are you with me? I hope you are. I hope you get this tonight. Lay it down. Not always that easy. But then as I studied it further, I thought, well, now this is interesting. The story of David and Goliath, we know it well, don't we? Maybe we know it too well. See, what happens is when we think we know certain things, they lose their profundity and their simplicity. David goes out to fight the giant. You know the story. And we make that some fantastic miracle that this teenage boy fights this giant. But wait a minute. Look at it a little closer. Moses was up against the most difficult task that he ever had to do in his life. But now David was going to fight the hardest battle that he ever fought in his life. Remember the story? Sure you do. Slingshot, 5 smooth stones. If I hear one more preacher preach about the 5 smooth stones and what they mean, I'm going to shoot somebody again. I know he had brothers. I know Goliath. I know the story. Don't try to make something that ain't there. Now, we hear about the slingshot. We hear about the 5 smooth stones. We hear about David's faith. I've heard this thing preached from every angle it could possibly be preached. But you know what I've never heard preached? I've never heard it preached that in the 17th chapter of 1 Samuel and the 40th verse, not only did he take the slingshot, not only did he take the 5 smooth stones, read it for yourself. You know what else he took? Now, why in the world, if he had so much faith and if he had so much confidence to fight that giant, why in the world did he take the stick? Doesn't make sense, does it? It does if you understand what the stick means. Remember when Saul questioned David about his ability to fight the giant? Remember? He said, what makes you, wait, what are you doing? You're a kid, you punk. That's my definition, you understand. It's a New York thing. I'm learning your language, you're learning mine, okay? You say lovely, I say punk, okay? It's kind of all the same, it all works out. And David turned down the armor because he said he hadn't proved it. But do you remember how he responded to Saul? He said, I fought a lion once. I beat him. I fought a bear once. I beat him. So, what's up? What's the big deal here? Do you not think that when he fought that lion and beat him, what do you think he did? With me? Make a little mark right about there. And when he fought the bear and won, what do you think he did? Yeah, we'll make one right about. You with me? David grew up as a shepherd. You know what shepherds spend most of their time doing? Not much. Sitting out on a hillside watching the sheep. But if you read it very closely, as he sat out on the hillside, if you've read the Psalms, every song that God gave that man, you don't think they were written down on that stick? I think they were. I think they were. And now he's getting ready to walk into the toughest fight, battle, struggle of his life. Did he have faith in God? Absolutely. Did he have confidence? Absolutely. But isn't it nice when you can walk into the toughest battle and you can look back and say, I ain't looking so good right now, but I remember once God helped me beat a lion. I remember once God helped me beat a bear. You did it for me once, God. I think you're going to do it for me again. Amen? You're going to do it again. And I'm not afraid because I've been there. Remember the 23rd Psalm? The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He restoreth my soul. And yea, though I walk through the shadow of, I will fear no, for thou art with me. My rod and my, does what? Did you ever wonder how a stick could comfort somebody? Did that ever make sense to you? It never made sense to me, maybe because I just didn't understand it. Now, do you understand it? You understand it now, don't you? Yea, though I walk through it. Not staying in the valley of the shadow of death. I'm walking through it. Come on, say amen. I'm walking through it. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Come on, bring it on. Bring it on. I will fear no evil. Why? Oh, yeah. I remember when I got that phone call once, and I had to go to the hospital. God saw me through. I remember when I got hit with the brick, and I was blind in my eye for 3 months. God healed me. I remember when people thought I was going to quit. And I stayed. I remember when God provided. Jehovah Jireh.